Hello, and thank you for joining us again on the GNAT TV News Project. We're continuing with a series we're doing on opioids and the opioid crisis, hearing from ordinary Vermonters whose lives have been changed by the scourge of this disease. A few weeks back, Linda Joy Sullivan, the state representative from Dorset, came to us with a proposal to talk to 5 ordinary North Shire residents whose lives have been changed by their experience with opioids. She arranged for us to meet with these folks up at the Wilson House in East Dorset to hear their stories. She plans to introduce some legislation in the State House in coming months that will hopefully help out in terms of remediating this deep epidemic. Today we're going to hear from Jo, who will tell us a little bit about how they changed her life.
First of all, I just want to say that I'm a little hesitant because of anonymity. That said, this is my story, and I am mindful about how my story affects other people. I believe that there's a segment of the population that is disposable, and I believe addicts are part of that segment of society. People go in and out of treatment. They're put on other drugs for maintenance, and it just keeps them passive. I'm no stranger to addiction. It first visited me with my ex-husband. I believe the year was 1990. He had been in treatment before we met, and I thought he was cured. Fortunately for him, he was able to visit some boutique-type rehab centers, but 30 days isn't enough, and he always went back out. It caused us to lose our business, our home, our family. We divorced, but the disease visited me again with a child. Short-term rehab simply does not work. And this is a disease of shame, and it shouldn't be. Because if a loved one had any other disease, be it diabetes or cancer or leukemia, there would be no shame in it. People would be able to readily seek treatment, but that's not so with addiction. It's stigmatized. It's held in the darkness, and we have to protect the anonymity of those suffering. So the system has to change. We have to bring the disease out into the light. Legislation has to change so that people can get the treatment they need. Long term, have a support system when they come out. This is not like a flu where you can go home with a prescription and manage it. I believe that anybody that enters the hospital and is given a narcotic needs to have some support and some counseling regarding the potential. Sooner or later, I believe every one of us is going to be affected by the disease of addiction, be it in a family member, be it in a robbery or a broken ankle when we ourselves receive a prescription. It's a deadly disease. It needs to be dealt with in a humane and an open way.
I'm very eager to get some type of legislature out there that is going to create the statutory presumption of physician and pharmaceutical company liability. I believe that we have too many prescribers, too many drugs. Refills are out there. We need to stop the pills. I think the only way to do that is to come up with strict liability and to have strong enforcement on those that should be held accountable. not on the victims, but I think that there needs to be funds that come back from the pharmacies and the doctors if they are not following the law on prescribing. I think that those monies should be used to go into education, but as I've said before, not just say no education. I believe that we need to have education where students, young students, are actually repulsed to touch drugs. They need to stay away from the bullying concept, from the gangs that are infiltrating the schools. I think that the governor has taken a strong step forward by saying this is an epidemic, it's in Vermont, and we need money and we need to do something, and I applaud that effort. But I think the lack of accountability, the lack of liability and the presumption of the actual physician and pharmaceutical liability needs to be addressed. I think we cannot let the doctors who have participated in some of our laws as it is, they have a conflict of interest. They have a buy-in into what they can prescribe. So I think now we need to hold people accountable. And that's where we need to focus. And that's my hope on putting together this bill. Of course, I'm sure I'll get pushback, but I intend on doing it anyway. It will actually, I do intend to try to get it out in January. My thought is that it will regulate how prescriptions are out there, who should be prescribing. Definitely it should be doctors, MDs, and once they know that there is some accountability, and it will put controls on the pharmaceutical companies as well, and then once we get accountability, there will be enforcement if they do not follow the law. So there has to be a monitoring in place. There has to be regulation on who can prescribe, how much can be prescribed, what can be refilled, and why they are using a specific drug to treat pain if there is not the absolute need for that drug to be prescribed.
Are you satisfied with the rate of progress the state has been making in the last 4 years or so since then Governor Shumlin's famous address to the state kind of like woke everybody up into the awareness of this? Are we on the right track, or are we just kind of like treading water here with this whole problem?
I think we're treading water. I'm not satisfied. I don't think that it can be cured. I don't think this is an easy fix. I think we're in quicksand. I think that it's going to take a faster pace now because I think that the current administration has made it a priority and taken some action. I don't believe that there is a cure-all. And I'm sure that it's going to take just as many years as it took for the epidemic to hit. But we're dealing with commercialism. We're dealing with my bill, the proposal, if I can get it out there, would be an economic liability. We need to fix this. Am I happy about the progress? No, I think we've just taken the first baby step. And I think that awareness and victim input is important, but I think it's the professionals in the pharmaceutical companies that need to step up to the plate and assist for it to actually have any type of impact on a cure. And as I said, I don't think it can be fixed, but we can definitely chip away.